Welcome to the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show.
I just want to introduce the show one time.
All right, go for it.
Welcome to the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. I'm Dick Costolo.
Am I next?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Nick Bilton.
Paul Kedrosky.
And you got to keep going, Dick.
No, I'm kicking it back to you now.
He's an opepening act.
Yeah, I'm more of the...
got
like
it.
The guy who gets the crowd revved up.
Yeah.
We call them a fluffer, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, well, I prefer other words.
Is there a term in like improv or comedy for the person who gets the crowd going? Just the MC.
Yeah, the MC.
There's not like a...
The MC. They're the guy that comes out and goes, "You, sir, where are you from?"
Yeah.
"I'm from Poughkeepsie." "Oh, Poughkeepsie? That's hilarious." Everyone's like,
You make sheep sounds or something.
And they can't wait for the main act to get out here.
To come out. All right, we're going to talk about something today that affects everyone. It is not data centers.
Thank God.
That's my other podcast.
We are going to talk about Americans living longer than ever.
Which is probably bad news for the rest of the world because it probably pisses people off. Oh, crap, Americans are going to be around even longer.
Well, it's everyone that's going to be around even longer.
But I just want to ask even right away the question. I thought I'd been seeing all these charts and graphs that show the life expectancy of Americans is actually the only one of the only developed countries where it's not growing.
It hadn't been until recently.
Okay, it's now back on the road. We're back. We recovered.
It wasn't
Right.
part of that, and I literally...
So this was a CDC study.
But wasn't part of that so many people were dying from fentanyl, and that was
so there were two
affecting the
different...
whole...
Right. No, that's totally true.
Yeah,
so
100,000.
Once again, the drug addicts ruining it for everyone.
Right. We had good statistics, and then boom.
All coming from China.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's the fentanyl.
It was the fentanyl.
There were that many people dying of fentanyl that it brought the average down?
Yeah. So if you adjusted the data, I remember seeing this somewhere, that if you said that once you reach the age of like 45, American mortality was the same as everywhere else in the rest of the world. So that was that death bulge between...
Do you know that the number one cause of death among teenagers in the United States now is fentanyl, and the number one place that they get it is social media?
They get fentanyl on social media?
Yeah. Snapchat is a big place. Evan Spiegel was forced to go and speak before Congress about it. But it's, you go on.
How do you get fentanyl on social media?
Because people, they're DMing.
Things have changed since I was running one of those companies.
You couldn't buy fentanyl on Twitter?
Yeah.
No, isn't it crazy? The number one cause of death
on Twitter.
It actually just changed.
If you tried to, 8 people yelled at you and said you were an idiot.
For trying to sell fentanyl.
Yeah, anything.
They said you were an idiot for anything on Twitter.
Correct.
Yes,
that was the joke.
That joke.
Yes, you guys said went right past you. Anyway.
I was too busy thinking.
Wait, you just said I had read just this week that fentanyl was the number one cause of death.
No, it just changed. Like in the last 6 months, I saw something saying that it's now. I mean, it's something equally horrendous. Like I don't really remember it now.
Roadblocks,
suicide. But it had just moved down 1 or 2 rankings in terms of mortality.
Are guns back up? Is it drive? It's not driving because no one drives anymore. They take Ubers. So.
I think I don't remember. I just remember that it had fallen to the 2 or 3 spot, which of course, from a political standpoint, everyone wants to take credit for because, we've built giant ice walls around the country and everyone's reenacting the wild things from Game of Thrones.
So people, actually Americans are now... Right. You're telling me Americans are living longer than ever.
That was the study, and it said for the first time Americans not only the lives aren't getting shorter, but they're getting longer, and they're actually reapproaching their peers in Western Europe and everything else, which is super surprising because 2 things. One, right, the fentanyl.
I love that you just said, by the way, not only are lives not getting shorter, and I was like, wow, that's an interesting way of framing it. And then I was like, wait, that's the same fucking thing as saying people are living longer than ever.
I'm paid by
But
the
it's
word.
a much more intellectual way of saying it.
That's true. It's a word
I'm going to start using that.
Not only not getting shorter, they're getting taller.
Not only did I not eat an unhealthy breakfast.
Do you know one thing that's crazy in the study that you sent around?
Yeah.
That suicide replaced COVID as the 10th most leading cause of death in the United States?
Yeah.
Because people are so lonely and sad because of the internet.
don't know if it's just because of the internet.
I think
but
it's
yeah.
a lot of the internet.
Oh, I think it's a huge factor. No, it's that the prevalence of suicide is crazy. It's just really disturbing how high it ranks, especially at younger. I
was just going to say, and what's the age cohort?
18 to
on it?
35.
Yeah, remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to the. There's so many things for us to discuss here. We want to talk about, why people want to live longer, because there's all the drugs and things that they're doing, the caretaker crisis, the pharmaceutical paradox, the
thing that's remarkable, and actually has been for quite some time, but it will now be getting a lot worse with Americans living longer than ever, is this country has refused to do anything about Social Security for decades. I mean, it's not a recent political problem. It's a long-standing. When I believe this is right. When Social Security was created, there were something like 50 workers in the workforce for every one retired person. So great, a bunch of us are, contributing to the one person we need to keep around for the next. And by the way, the average life expectancy obviously was a lot shorter.
Yeah.
So you would retire, and then, the golden years were a good 3 to 4 years, and then you were off. And now,
That doesn't sound very golden.
now, it was goldish.
Oh, goldish. Okay.
it was bronze.
Yeah.
The bronze years.
Yeah.
And now there are something like 2 to 3 workers for every retired person who's getting Social Security and living a lot longer, and that's obviously going to keep declining. So the brick wall, I feel like we ran into the Social Security brick wall a ways back down the road and still refuse to do anything about it or even acknowledge it. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. And as you say, it's only getting worse, right? Because demographics, an aging society, worse dependency ratios,
And
fewer
also,
people paying.
correct me if I'm wrong, but as more AI replaces more workers and there's less people making a living, where's that additional income coming from?
That's right.
Same problem.
Boy, are the chatbots going to be upset when they find out what they have to pay into.
That's right.
Yeah.
This, I got this smart for this. It's like, are you yoked to this guy?
Right.
But that's been going. But how does that end? Does it just explode? Do we get to the end of it and it's just this? There's nothing left at the bottom of the well, and
Well, there's been nothing left at the bottom of the well for a long time. It hasn't even barely been a pay-as-you-go basis, right? It's been as a pay and build the deficit basis. But that's the way the U.S. does things and waits for a crisis and then finds a bad solution.
one of the things I find so fascinating about a topic like this is that there are so many unintended consequences that you just have, living longer. There's the food problem. There's the housing problem. I mean, one of the things you see in L.A. is that there is a real estate broker told me that there will never be a single family home built in LA again on a new plot of land. It will just never happen. It never gets approved because they're only going to approve multifamily and apartments and so on and so forth. And yet people live longer, and so they're not selling their homes.
I think young people are going to start walking into restaurants when they see a 90-year-old and go, that is so rude. They're just going to glare at them.
Who do you think you are?
The gall.
Yeah.
Living
Take
this
that
long.
fork and stab yourself.
That's right.
Now.
That's funny.
No, but then their houses don't sell because and
well, they're also because they're so mispriced because they're predicated on another bulge of babies coming along, and that hasn't happened. Right?
And so the unintended consequences are just fascinating, and it's also food supplies where where does all that come from? We're
pretty good at food supplies.
Medical's
the biggie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What's the medical? You have a guild-based medical plan or something like that? Is that how it works?
I'm at the
Guild-based?
I don't know. Some writers guild.
I'm in a writers guild.
Writers Guild.
Guild-based medical plan?
Yeah, isn't that what you
What
have?
is this, the Lord of the Rings?
That's right. You at Elrond.
I'm on the Elven plan.
No, aren't you though? Something to do with that?
I'm part of the WGA, and
I'm in the Bombadil PPO.
part of
you and Peter Thiel with your dropping the Lord of the Rings references.
There's a thing in Hollywood where the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild and the Directors Guild, they all have incredible healthcare, the best healthcare I've ever had. And I was in the union at the New York Times, and that healthcare was it paled in comparison to the WGA. And you don't pay much. You pay $150 a month, and you get your whole family. But you have to earn a certain amount per year to be on it,
or have so many credits or whatever.
Yeah, you get credits and so on. And
but my question is, does that end at a certain age?
Well, what happens is if you don't work, it ends.
What happens if you don't win an Oscar?
Yeah,
by the time you're out.
No, but
but at 65, do you have to transition off it?
You transition, and there's a retired version of it. But if you don't work for a year,
I see.
you lose your health care.
Or you lose it completely.
You lose it completely until you work again, and then you get it back. You can get credits, but you can only get credits for the last a couple of years. But there's a big discussion right now because there are people who are in the guild who are since retired who are living longer, right? There are less people working who are getting paid in the guild. So
same problem as Dick was describing.
Yeah, it's literally the same problem.
Same problem.
And it will come to its tragic conclusion. And they'll try to push it off as long as possible. But the Writers Guild can't print money.
I was going to say they lack a feature that the U.S. government has.
Yeah, right.
Control over the monetary supply.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but
But so where is it supposed to be self-sustaining from the dues of these $100 a month?
It's supposed to be self-sustaining. There's
that
also
can't possibly work.
Correct, and there's also a retirement plan where a lot of people you get your retirement based on how much is paid in, and so they have money that's invested. But
do they publish figures?
Yeah, they publish them. Yeah,
Have you seen them?
I looked at them a few years ago and I got really angry because I saw how much they waste on the building and paying people to do this, that, and the other. And it's like,
of course,
it's just it's so insane how much money is
But
wasted.
the purpose of this endowment or whatever it is to pay for health care and retirement. Is that the idea?
I think the purpose is to pay the people that run the guild. But the secondary effect is
incidentally
is to provide. To ensure that people who work in the Writers Guild get paid a certain amount for the projects they do, to ensure that they get health care and to ensure that they get a pension. But there's a limit to what the pension can be, and
especially when you get into this dependency thing, where there's fewer and fewer writers paying for more and more retired.
But
people.
that's one guild. Take the newspaper guilds. Take the it's all. of them.
No, it's true everywhere. This is the thing, as Dick was saying. I mean, this ratio was good and is now bad and getting worse.
But so what happens? Do they just disappear?
What? So then
you're going to start walking into a restaurant. You're going to see an old writer, and you're going to go, "Ooh, that is so rude."
Do you think you are?
What were your credits
so
again?
Rude.
You're out.
Yeah, you're out.
No, but that's why you're going to see. And I mean, this is a topic for another day. But why you're seeing for the first time in the U.S., I think, some really useful conversations about how you would reform healthcare if. Like completely reform it, not this business of like you can buy policies on exchanges or whatever else. But there's this talk right now of what's it called, catastrophic coverage. So the idea is you're responsible, kind of like what you have with homes and everything else. Like I don't use my insurance to pay to clean the windows. I pay into a policy, but it only covers like major incidents. And the idea is that you would do the same thing with healthcare, and you would have only catastrophic coverage, right?
Here's my idea. So Canada has this assisted euthanasia. It's called they've got an acronym.
Assisted suicide.
Yeah, assisted suicide. They actually have an acronym for it. It's called MAID, which it's called Medical Assistance in Dying. Which I think it's like, who decided? We should have a fun acronym for assisted suicide. Why was that even a thing? Anyway, they did it. Okay, so here's my idea. We have assisted suicide, but you don't have to tell the person you're assisting that they're.
We used to call that manslaughter.
That's called murder.
I get it, though. It's got a model.
Yeah. Instead of I'm going to put you out of your misery, I'm going to put you out of our misery.
It's magnanimous.
Nick walks into a restaurant and says to a writer,
Yeah.
"Can you just come with me for a minute? I want to show you a little tube that you're going to sit in. Can you press that button?"
Anyway.
That's a good point, though.
The assisted suicide thing I think is really interesting. I do. I think that people should be able to kill themselves if they want to. Why does the government get to say you can't?
Well, the argument is that you're not necessarily in a position where either you or your family are particularly rational, and so I don't trust the decision you're making.
And half the time it's, or I don't know what percent of the time, but wasn't that the whole issue with Kevorkian? Was it like, wait, how many of these are people that really wanted to go, and how many were like, Kevorkian hasn't been in the news for a few months?
Time to off a few people.
Time to turn the switch off.
It was also partially Kevorkian was fucking creepy looking.
I got to crank up business development here with a few, putting a few of them
Have you seen the new pods that they're doing? There's now a couples pod. So there's the pods. I think they're in pod?
Like assisted suicide pod
or something like that. They're assisted suicide pods, and they put them. It's very strange. They put them out in the forest, and you go.
Are you making this up?
I'm not making it up. I'm telling you, it's true. And they, or maybe they're in a building, whatever. Anyway, you sign a bunch.
Sounds very Scandinavian.
It's very Scandinavian, and
it is
Scandinavian.
Too.
It is in Scandinavia.
See,
and they
love suicide in the forest.
Well established.
Yeah. Man, I haven't met a Swede who is like,
tomorrow,
of these days.
Tomorrow I may have to off myself out in the woods.
But you go in and you sit there and you press a button and it's like a tube. It looks almost like a weird space thing from Star Trek or something. It's over your whole body, and you press the button and then you die. I think from some chemical or something.
Is this like No Country for Old Men? Just bouncing out? Yeah,
you're done. Anyway, they're talking about doing couples therapy. Couples dying.
Good Lord. Actually, so to be serious for a second, are there
I'm not making this up.
Are there non-European countries where assisted suicide is a thing?
Canada. And America now, right?
There's at least six states, I think, in the U.S. now.
Oh, all right.
California, Oregon.
But the legal hurdles to get to.
Well, California is a good example. Where in California, if you want medical assistance in dying, the equivalent of, you have to be within. A doctor has to say, I think it's 6 months. You have to be within 6 months.
6 months,
which is, we're kind of in the end game of the chess match, anyways. I mean, this doesn't seem like it. I mean, I get it, and I think it's better than the alternative service, but it's. As people say, we treat dogs better.
But we do. And there was also a story recently about a woman who had severe manic depression and couldn't, which of course leads to a lot of suicides, and had tried everything and just was like, I can't live like this anymore. And it became a big discussion of whether that accounts for a reason to commit suicide
and it's
legally
not,
or not.
In the U.S., it's not. In Canada, it is.
Correct.
So that distinction is a U.S. only phenomenon, and it's kind of it's unfortunate in many ways, but we dominate the earth in terms of lawyers per capita. You can see the problem, right? We'd much rather have a few false negatives than any false positives in terms of having people off themselves, and so that's where you end up.
Well, but just to go back to real quick to the living longer and the suicide and so on and so forth. The thing that's so fascinating is there is an economical distinction between who gets to live longer and who doesn't. Like if you live in West Virginia, for example, you have the life expectancy of someone who lives in Bangladesh. But if you live in Manhattan, you could live.
There's a huge
and that's driving all of this.
It's certainly making the numbers very strange in the U.S., right? So not only do you have to get past age 40 and not be offed from fentanyl, you have to also be lucky enough to be in a relatively high socioeconomic group.
Correct.
And not living in one of these locations in the U.S. where there's higher and earlier mortality. I mean, it's crazy when you compare it to other countries, and it's just completely different for that reason. And the other one is, and I thought we were...
In other countries, is there less of a disparity
huge.
Because you have expectancy based on socioeconomic?
Yeah, much different. It's much flatter distributions. You don't see the same thing. In part, the medical system will argue it's because they have socialized medicine, but I don't really believe that. It's not as clear that that's the case.
And
I think it's income-based. It's just straight up income-based. That people...
Which would lead you to say, what's the derivative consequence of that? Food supply, like you're eating
better, less food stress. I don't have 4 jobs. I'm not.
You're not eating Doritos all day, like the person across from me who will not be named.
Yeah,
they're good. I love Doritos. It's like my one thing I can't not eat. If I see a bag of Doritos, eating them. Sorry. Just there's something about them.
Something has to happen.
Yeah.
So but those tend to be the reasons. It's just more income security, less general fear I'm going to lose my job, and in part because you have this social safety net. If I lose my job, I still have health care, and that seems to be driving a lot of it.
But you're talking about Europe in that regard. But what about places like China, India, Russia?
Completely, much more like the U.S.
Got it.
Where there's
a distribution of wealth and disparity. And
I think the U.S. leads the world. And this is the other one. What's the statistic? Health span versus lifespan versus health span. I think one of the things that's happening is that, and I think it's really good to get into, is that not only does the U.S. lead the world in it, but it's a problem everywhere that lifespans are getting longer, but almost all of it is being spent in ill health.
Right.
And that's
like
not
you get to, we're making it to 85 now.
Yeah.
But 60 to 80, but 70 to 85 is still horrible.
It's still going to suck.
It used to be 70 to 72, and then you're like, so long, and thanks for all the fish. And now it's 70 to 85.
Yeah.
And that's a long 15 years.
It's like 10 plus years, I think is the median, what do you call it, like incremental health span.
And where are those people? Just so I know where not to go.
I wish I knew. No, I don't know. But
are they in homes? Are they in like at home?
No,
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And it's one of the reasons why, in turn, because those people spend the last 10 years of their life in ill health, it blows up the medical system, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the most expensive period. Generally speaking, like I think something like 30% of people's healthcare costs are spent in the last 10 years of life. It might even be higher now.
And then you hit 85, and if you fall once, you're dead.
Well, yeah.
That's the statistic. If you fall when you're 85, there's a pretty high chance that you never leave the hospital.
No,
you're going to reach over for that last bag of Doritos and have nothing but regret.
Slip, slide, gone.
Yeah.
And you'll be down. But that's the biggie for me, though. And this is why I think, like, who's the guy that's been in trouble?
Peter Attia.
Attia. Why I think there's so much.
Who's the gentleman who's in trouble?
But no, this is why there's so much appetite for this longevity stuff, though, right? It's why it's so interesting is that everyone wants to live. Back to you were saying this earlier. I mean, everyone wants to live longer, but the reality is right now you live longer and you live it in ill health. Do you want to live longer? How much longer do you want to live it?
Attia's whole pitch is like,
you don't have to live
I'm going to, help you not just live longer, but live longer and better, have a longer health span.
Longer health span, yeah.
Is that his made up word? Someone made up the word.
No, it's been around the medical industry.
I say it was made up.
I agree with Dick.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a serious question.
HealthSpan.com. I don't know.
I own yourhealthspan.com and myhealthspan.com. I outflanked your URL swatting. It's also the case that childhood obesity in the U.S. is still crazy on the rise.
Yeah.
So one of the things I don't get is how the lifespan is apparently getting longer again in the U.S., but there's no change in this crazy growth in childhood obesity in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like you would think that would lead to, obviously, more type 2 diabetes or whatever. I don't remember what type diabetes is, the one where you're a kid and you get diabetes.
Type 1.
Type 1. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was 50-50 chance. Got it wrong.
Curses.
Anyway, like it's weird that there's more of that and yet people are living longer because you would think that would mean they're not going to make it so far.
Yeah.
It's the one thing I think that, there's a lot of wackadoodle stuff that RFK Jr. puts out there, but I think
What?
Say what you will, he has the trains run on time. Oh, no, wait, that was that German guy.
Did you guys see that video of him working out in his jeans?
Of course.
Yeah, that was very, very strange. You missed out on that one. But it's the one thing I think I agree with him on the red dyes and all those things. I think it's unbelievable that we have allowed that in our food for as long as we have. What's your face for? You don't.
The
agree?
red dye is not the problem.
I
know, but there's the sugars and all the things he's talking. But those are the things I think that there are certain things that he's.
It's don't have the fourth ho-ho.
Well, no matter the color.
The red dye actually is a big thing for my family because my kids have ADHD, and when they eat something with dye in it, it is literally like they've snorted a line of cocaine. It is the craziest thing.
Oh.
Like we can.
Really?
It's insane. Like
Do you
they
have
will
any
come
on you
home,
right now? I just want to try it.
I don't think your red dye is actually red dye, just so you know. It's just a hunch. But back to Dick's point. I mean, and I think it's a good one, is that this idea that
I sell it for $20 a bag. If you want some, I'll give you some outside.
We don't actually know
how
long Americans would live if they didn't treat themselves so badly at most of their lives. Right. I mean, it could be childhood obesity. It could be drug abuse. It could be
food.
Socioeconomic stress from
That's
having to do 4 jobs.
That's got to be quantifiable, though, right? Like, it would be interesting to know what the even greater American life expectancy would be if it weren't for all the crazy amount of childhood obesity and sugar. The sugar intake is insane among kids in the U.S.
Right. You just don't know. I mean, all you can do is compare.
I was in I was in a I'm going to say this. I'm going to talk about sounding like the 0.0001%. I was about to say, I was in a supermarket the other day. Usually I wake up and, when I want breakfast, I'm just like you. I say, Wentworth, fetch the Bentley. I feel like strawberries. But
As one does.
I had the chance to go to a supermarket the other day. No, I'm in a supermarket the other day, and I counted 6 rows of not food. 6 aisles.
What kind of stuff?
Like chips?
Snacks, popcorn, chips, pretzels, energy drinks, Gatorade, blah, 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 candy. There were I was like, how can there be 6? Mm-hmm. There's only 7 rows. There was the last one was broccoli.
How did that get in there?
Someone went to go buy it and they put it back and left it on the side.
Half of the store. Yeah. By the way, the energy drinks row was and Gatorade and that was different from the Coke and Pepsi row. It was unbelievable. It's crazy how much of it. Think about when you were a kid or, going to the grocery store with your mom or dad, half the store wasn't the snacks and junk. It was like a junk aisle.
I wouldn't know. Wentworth went to the grocery store for me. But
all right.
But that's true.
No, but here's a question
Yeah.
for you guys. So you're both very health focused and you exercise and all that.
So you.
Not like you guys. I mean, you run a marathon every day, and he lifts the equivalent of a small tank. And meanwhile, I barely can run 2 miles without feeling like I'm going to have a heart attack. But there's this divide that's happening where you have this health industry that's what $4 to $7 trillion right now.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
It's just huge. You have this movement of the Peter Attias and the Will Never Die Brian Johnsons and this whole movement where those trillions of dollars are being spent, and then at the same time you have the supermarkets with 6 aisles of utter garbage and that are genuinely killing people. It's not an argument. These sugars and these dyes and all these things are killing people. Why is it just economic that is the divide here, or what's going on that there is so many people?
I think Paul's shaking his head no, but I think it is.
You do?
Yeah.
I think it's that it's engineered for addiction. It's just such engineered food products.
Yeah.
So because you see it's worse among lower income, but you see it at all ages where it's just this stuff is just so well targeted to hit your taste buds and give you this feeling I got to have one more. It's the crunch and it's all of this stuff. The research stuff is crazy that they do inside these places. I didn't even realize how much work is done on the crunchability of these snack foods. It isn't just the taste. It's this texture stuff, and it's just you know what? That's ridiculous.
Is that you trying to tell me Doritos targeted me today?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you would believe. Yeah. No, it's crazy. I had no idea that all of that stuff factored into it.
It's so evil. It really is.
But that's the problem, right? I mean, it's really profitable and it's easy to engineer it. The biggest problem they have right now.
Are we one of the only? This is another thing I don't know. Are we the only country where, if you were, I don't know, born and raised in Kyoto or born and raised in Paris or born in whatever, I don't pick a Cape Town, and you came into a grocery store in the U.S., the one I'm just talking about. Would you be like, what in the world is this? Or is it just all the same?
Well, no, it's not all the same. In Canada, for example.
Canada's really bad.
But not like here.
It's exactly the same.
No, but the Fruit Loops in America use red and blue and green dye. The Fruit Loops in Canada use they're different laws.
Okay, but it's just still just aisles and aisles of crap, though.
But it's yes, but I think it's
not beet juice.
They use beet juice and carrot juice and things like that to color
right? I have no idea.
The Fruit Loops in Canada.
But you're still the issue is the Fruit Loop, not the color. Just to be clear.
Well, your semantics.
I see. Okay, different colored Fruit Loops, much more nutritious.
I think, but no, look at Japan. The longest life expectancy it
definitely varies usually.
They eat sugars and all these things, but it's not in the same way that there are so many more rules in Japan that are.
But then you go to a Mexican grocery store, it's as bad as the U.S.
It's worse.
Yeah. I mean, and same thing in Brazil. It's terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, the grocery stores are crazy. And you go in and you're like, oh my God, this is actually makes the U.S. grocery store seem marginally healthy.
My kids, one of my older kid who's 10 now, he is obsessed with like Coca-Cola and Sprite. We don't ever give him it, but once in a while he'll get it. And I was at Home Depot getting something and he ran over with like a Fanta, small size. How many grams of sugar?
Grams.
More.
Oh, is it?
Like 80-something grams of sugar in this thing.
Yeah.
It's insane. That's insane.
Yeah. Just imagine putting it in a couple of tablespoons of sugar. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? I'll just have that for dinner. I'm going to have as much of this as I possibly can. But I just think, I don't know what you guys, how often do you see like a GP, like go see a doctor? If nothing's wrong. How often do you go?
I should go more. I don't go enough.
That means never.
I did go. No. I'll tell you what happened to me.
Okay.
This is what happened, and this is like another part of this conversation.
He had some red dye.
It was on my wrist.
I snorted some red dye. I was just trying to see what it was like, just experimenting. No, I had a doctor when I first moved to LA about 10 years ago, and one day he called me and he said, "Hey, I'm going into the concierge service, and I'm going to be charging $2,000 a year and so on." And I was like, "Okay, well, you're a great doctor. I'll stick with you." The next year it was $4,000. The next year it was $6,000. So I left. I went to another doctor, and the same thing happened, and it got to $8,000 to be a member. The doctor I just had, my fourth doctor,
just went concierge,
took a concierge job. And then offered me, like at one of the concierge places, and then said, we will give you a 5% discount on the membership for this concierge place.
Oh.
Do you want to know how much it is a year?
Okay.
Guess. You will never guess.
Well, 8 was the last, so I'll go with 10.
$160,000.
A year?
A year. And this is like, so what's happened in LA, and I'm sure New York and other places, is that they're not making enough money. They make $76 or whatever it is per patient they meet from the insurance. And so you've had these doctors that have gone into this private practice concierge. You pay $5,000 or $10,000. The average now is $20,000 for some of the high-end ones a year. And then you get, full access. You can text your doctor and so on and so forth.
And they say, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
Pretty much,
yeah.
Also, you're late with your $160,000 premium.
Right.
Or
you set me up on Zelle?
Yeah.
They say, or you say, I don't want 2 aspirin. I want a line of red dye. And they're like, great, I'll give you that. Whatever
is that
you
right?
want.
Press 1 to pay your
whatever
bill.
You want.
Press
100,000. How much was it?
$160,000. And it's like a high-end, like private.
For that, they should do the colonoscopy for me. I don't want to go. You do it and report back. Let me know how it goes.
But this is another thing. The people that are going to these, the people that have these concierge services, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier, they're obviously wealthy. They get to live longer and live healthier.
But it's not because this is where I was going though. Is that the thing that's interesting? Like I almost never go. Like and the reason is because GPs are lead gen for hospitals, right? Now we're into like the idea that you somehow are doing anything if you have a non-acute condition, like there's nothing wrong with you. You're otherwise healthy, no family history of anything. There's a great study from a few years ago, and I don't know, it's one of the medical journals saying that there's no reason to continue to do an annual physical. Was the point of it?
Come on.
What are you talking about?
In the New England Journal of Medicine, they had a great study showing that there was no relationship between mortality, incident of
that can't be because you're missing out on early cancer detection and blah,
but
blah,
again
blah.
Most of the
they stick their finger up your butt not for fun because they want to see if you got cancer.
Well,
right.
It depends who we're talking about here.
I have a story, but I'll save it for another time.
No, tell the story.
I was going to say that's why I now go 3 times a year.
I had a doctor years ago. I was in grad school. And
Time to go to the doctor again.
I was trying to get a new GP. I was trying to get a new GP back then, and the doctor said she needed references. And I said, "What do you mean you need references? Like I'm a good patient, or like I don't get sick much? What are you looking for?" She said, "Well, I have a lot of people coming in here looking for to have prostate exams done." Yeah. And I was just
and
like,
you said, "Does one of them do Costolo?"
And I said, "What?"
Yeah.
Anyways,
Did you wake up with a headache? Heck no, I'm just happy to see you.
So we had this weird conversation where it turns out I had no idea this was the case.
The people really just go because
they just go because it's kind of, a kink, right? And so she had to screen out the wackos. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is absolutely... So back to the initial point, though. It is not true. There is no relationship in an otherwise healthy person.
Can you imagine the phone call? Is that you, Mr. Costolo? No.
No, it's not me.
It's not you.
It's Wentworth.
I may come by later. Between having the physicals done and actually in longevity and mortality. And that's the thing that drives people crazy. And doctors,
how can that possibly be true, though? So let's just use you go in, you happen to do the blood test, and you're like, oh my God, you've got early... Yeah, but thank God we found it.
People argue. That's arguing from exceptions, though. Across the population, that rarely happens.
No, okay. I went in
but years ago. That's an exception, though.
How the exception is? I went in and they said I have high cholesterol and I'm now on a statin, and I won't have a heart attack hopefully in 10 years.
Right.
So,
but you're treated.
Yeah, but that's because I went in for tests.
But my point is, if you're otherwise healthy and have
our LLM is malfunctioning over here.
No, if you're otherwise healthy, it's not. It's actually.
But I'm otherwise healthy.
He's saying the data say that there's no difference.
There's no difference, none. And so and of course that pisses off doctors. I used to have the bad habit of bringing it into, because for my insurance, I had to go once a year, and I would show up I showed up with the paper and showed them this, which pissed them off. I said, you guys are just lead gen for specialized procedures, and there's no real reason to do this.
And they injected cancer cells into his arm.
That's right. Highly toxic red dye. I got all excited.
Here, snort this.
But see, this is the thing, though. And that's the mistake people make, is they think it's greater access to health care that leads to longevity, and that's wrong.
What is it?
It was elimination of infectious diseases. It was less, in general, a better food hygiene. It was penicillin. It was all stuff that was like 80 years ago. This is the thing that drives me, is most of the improvements in longevity are due to stuff that happened 80 years ago. It's not that all of a sudden we got better at anything.
Did we live? We didn't live longer 80 years ago, though, right?
Or if you made it to age 50, the likelihood of making it to age 70 or 80 was about the same. But you had to cross the chasm.
But if you made it to that age, because I was in a museum recently, and you see these portraits of these very old people that are in their 90s in some instances, and they've got those really ugly dogs that they had back then. You've seen those skinny looking dogs; they're so weird looking. Anyway,
greyhounds? No, the other one, the ugly one,
the uglier one,
the ugliest hairless one.
Yeah, that one. It's weird. I don't know why why did they like to cuddle with ugly hairless dogs back then? Anyway. I digress. But the point is that I was wondering, well, how did they live longer than us? But it's probably because once you made it past 50. But then also they didn't have
fentanyl traffic, guns,
red dye.
Okay, I have a question that maybe what's going on in Japan, and I think Korea is a predictor of what happens here, which is that people in Japan are basically going into homes and finding people that have been dead for days and weeks because they're alone. It's an aging the population is aging. Yep. It's the 90-year-old who has no other direct relatives around them, and the person's been in there dead for some time. What's so funny?
No, it's true. It's horrible.
Not everything I say is funny. Some things are very, very serious. And that's one. So isn't this going to happen in the U.S. as the population continues to age?
You'll find more dead people in their homes?
Yeah, not me personally.
I see. That was funny.
Unless it's one of my unintentionally assisted suicides that I discussed earlier.
No, it's totally the case.
One will walk into an apartment or home, and there will be Phil.
Wentworth. But
that's absolutely coming, right?
Absolutely coming.
I mean, it happens with some frequency in Japan and Korea, and they're sort of feels like they're sort of 10, 15 years ahead of us on the aging population
consequences. But have you seen the blue zone stuff, where there's all of this data about locations and the consequences of health? But have you seen the blue zone fraud stuff?
Yes.
No, what's the blue zone fraud?
Showing that the highest incidence of increased longevity in places like somewhere in Italy or something, I don't remember, are also associated with places with poor birth records.
Yeah.
Or with places that have a hurdle rate to earning a higher pension or something like that.
That's fascinating.
So it's very closely associated with
lying
about their age.
That's
and
crazy.
lying about pension.
Didn't they do that whole Netflix documentary on it?
A lot of the blue zone stuff is just fraud.
Fraud.
That's crazy.
Age fraud.
Who knew?
So it turns out that that's people pretty eager to make that stuff up. But the point I was making with the other stuff, though, is that one of the things that's really interesting is I think that most people have the wrong idea about what leads to longer health. They think it's going to see a doctor more often. They think it's all of, it's really just avoiding having someone shoot you, don't get run over in traffic, eat reasonably well, get some sleep, get some exercise. But the rest, it's something like 50% is genetics. Like, it's ridiculous how much is genetics.
Okay, so then let me ask you this question. Do you think it's a bad idea to go get like a gallery test to see which
That's a ridiculous idea.
Why? Because then you know what you – okay, let's just say –
the data's crazy bad on that stuff, just so you know. Like,
but it's not – it's got a 1% incorrect – no.
No, but if you do hundreds of tests across thousands of people, the likelihood of false positives goes through the roof. All those people get tested. Some of them have, and that all leads to more testing. You get these testing cascades. It's horrible.
But so you're saying that I should not go and find out what genetics I have that I'm predisposition to maybe
if you're just like curious, go crazy.
No, but okay, let's just say that I could get stomach cancer. Right? Let's just say that's the thing.
I love how everything is now funny. Let's just say that I could get stomach cancer. Paul now can't stop laughing.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll stop.
Stomach cancer.
Let me tell you about stomach cancer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, so let's say you found a test that you wanted to find.
Let's just say
like a genetic predisposition.
I did a genetic test that found stomach cancer, right?
That you have a higher predisposition.
If I eat more burnt toast or too much steak and things like that, that will then lead to a higher rate of me getting stomach cancer, right? Or if I go get colonoscopies, I could make sure that I live longer by getting those. So you're saying that that's all nonsense?
No, I'm saying mass screening is nonsense. Colonoscopies actually have some of the highest effectiveness of anything we do. Like, it's crazy effective.
Oh. But you think I should not do any other tests? Just colonoscopies and fingers up my butt?
No, I just think, but it's just this misunderstanding of like what leads to better health. Like, most of what was said is 50% genetics, probably 50% is sort of environmental, but most of that we dealt with 80 years ago with antibiotics, the food supply, water, all this kind of stuff. And the rest we're just screwing around at the margins. This is the thing that's...
Paul's saying like the mass screenings, the Peter Attia supplements. I mean, it's not just Peter Attia. The crazy supplement industry, which is every time I see the number for the amount of
trillions,
money,
it's
trillions.
The amount of money that's spent on supplements in the U.S., it's insane.
There's 4.4 trillion.
Okay, Paul's saying proportionally, it has zero impact.
Yes, that I understand. I think
longevity.
I would disagree with you on the going to get tested for things, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Well, you're just wrong.
Have you ever said the other way? Have you ever just said, "Well, I'm just wrong"?
Oh, all the time.
What about?
Well,
Paul says he's Paul regularly admits he's wrong.
Yeah, all the time.
When?
To me in private, quietly, in the dark.
Just before we go to sleep. I roll over and say, honey.
I was wrong about that.
No, I'm wrong all the time. But this is just, this stuff I just find interesting because it's how much people misunderstand like their own health and what makes you healthier. Yeah. And they want to do the easy stuff. They want to eat supplements because it's less trouble than running. They want to do lots of tests because it's less nuisance than lifting weights. These kinds of things.
I would say that that all makes sense. That I agree with, but you're still
again.
wrong.
I think I told you guys this one time. It's somebody. This friend of mine said, "Oh, I went on ChatGPT and now I'm on this daily health regimen." Yeah. And I was like, "Let me guess, you're taking alpha lipoic acid now every day." It's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" It's like because it suggests that for basically everything because it has some impact, minute though it may be, on like nerve health. So if you ask for a regimen, you get the take all these things because you asked for a regimen. It's doing zero for you.
1,000%. Do you guys? Let me conclude with a question, which is, if you hit that age 75, let's say, right, and you've got 10 years where you're in and out of the hospital and you're taking this, that, and the other, or you got 1 year and it's just like, be done with it.
It's the best year ever, though.
Which would you pick?
Best year ever.
You do the best year ever, and then just go in the pod, press the button.
I'm going to go to Scandinavia right after that. My one-way ticket to Stockholm.
To the woods.
Little wood cart out into the woods, hop in the pod, and hit the clicker.
Off button.
I just
Hit
feel
the
like
clicker.
the pod's probably
Yeah.
like going through IKEA where you can't actually find the clicker.
That's actually the great joke about the pod. The button says on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I obviously be the same camp. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
I hate hospitals. I don't even like going visiting people in the
Oh,
hospital.
it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's so depressing.
Plus,
A lot of sick people. Yeah, no.
I wouldn't want to go through that.
But you know what, though?
gruesome-
This is the thing, and I've seen this now with like aging relatives, is everyone says that, but then when the time...
Yeah.
of course,
I get scared.
Time comes, you're like, I'm going to turn it around next month. You'll see.
I gotta wait this out. Yeah.
I remember when my
This
grandfather.
leg's going to grow back.
I remember my grandfather. He was 90 and dying, and he was like, "If only they can fix this, then I'll just get to live a really long life." And I was like, well, "How much longer?
Yeah,
we're talking
you're there.
here? You're there,
You're
brother.
there. You're right
You're
there.
at the end."
You're at the front. You're at the final frontier. Yeah, it's one of those things where people, I think, give different answers depending where they are. And
No,
unfortunately, it changes.
that makes sense. I think you probably get to the end and you don't want to say goodbye to your loved ones, and you think, "I'm not pressing the on button yet."
There's a line from, isn't it from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern? It's life in a box is better than no life at all. It's a little like that, right? I'd rather be locked in a coffin than, well, beats the alternative.
Beats the alternative.
But then you wouldn't, I think it continues, but then you wouldn't know then, would you?
That's right. That's true.
Dick, do you want to wrap this one up and say this has been another episode of or you want me to do it?
I like introducing. I don't really like outroing. Not really an outro guy. It's not my thing.
He likes to warm the crowd up.
Yeah. I don't like coming on at the
Paul,
end.
I feel like let's have Paul wrap this one up.
This has been another episode of the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. Stay tuned for more the next time we do one of these things.
It's not stay tuned for more because it's over.
This
Just
is
like
live.
the end of our lives.
Who's doing the outro here? Him
exactly.
or you?
Editing my outro.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And
Yeah.
I hate when people talk like that. It makes me think like I should definitely not like, subscribe, or comment.
that's a wrap.